Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating topic: humanity and Jeopardy. We're going to be diving deep into the specific ecological warnings and the proposed solutions presented directly by Zhu Feng. He's the founder of an organization known as Life Chen Yuan. All right, let's jump right in.
Okay, so let's start here. August 2nd, 2017. Feng really anchors his entire argument on a pretty grim milestone that was released by the World Wildlife Fund. Basically, by this exact day in 2017, humanity had already completely exhausted the Earth's entire allowance of renewable resources for the whole calendar year. Just think about that for a second. It's like spending your entire year's salary by the first week of August, and then having to survive the rest of the year on absolutely nothing but credit cards. In Feng's analysis, this date isn't just some random piece of historical trivia. It's our mathematical tipping point. And that brings us to this massive, completely unsustainable imbalance. On one side, you have the Earth's natural capability, right? It takes a full 12 months for our planet to regenerate its resources. But on the flip side, we have humanity's frantic pace. It took us a mere 7 months to consume all of it. Feng breaks this down using that WWF report to really highlight the sheer scale of this deficit. In just those 7 short months, humanity emitted way more carbon than the world's oceans and forests could possibly absorb in a full year. We pulled more fish from the sea, cut down more trees, harvested more crops, and sucked up vastly more water than the Earth could naturally replace. It's a totally stark contradiction between what the planet can provide and what we take. So, the absolutely crucial question here is, what exactly happens during those remaining 5 months of the year? Well, Zhu Feng doesn't just write this off as a simple accounting error. Actually, he frames it as a profound moral failure. He calls it an ecological debt. For 5 whole months out of the year, we aren't just, living off the land, we are actively overdrawing the welfare of our descendants. We're basically surviving by stealing the natural inheritance of future generations. According to the Life Chen Yuan founder's analysis, every single tree cut, every fish caught, and every drop of water consumed after that early August date is literally a direct theft from the future. It's a super powerful way to shift how we look at resource consumption, moving it from a dry statistic to a direct, harmful action against our own children and grandchildren. Now, Zhu Feng connects this 2017 data point to a much larger, ongoing narrative of ecological decline. His timeline actually begins a bit earlier, with a really specific warning he issued way back in 2009. Then, the timeline moves to 2017, where he essentially uses the WWF report as validation of that earlier warning. And finally, it points toward a highly concerning projected collapse 15 to 20 years in the future. By structuring his argument like this, the founder of Life Chen Yuan is arguing that this crisis isn't some out-of-the-blue surprise. Rather, it's a predictable, measurable trajectory that we've been on for quite a while now, and it's one that he claims to have been actively tracking all along. What's really fascinating here is how Zhu Feng defines the exact nature of this impending disaster. You might remember back in April 2009, there was all this global panic about a sudden kind of mystical doomsday predicted for the year 2012. Well, Zhu Feng explicitly rejected that idea. He told humanity that a Hollywood-style end of the world in 2012 was simply not going to happen. Instead, he warned that we'd face a step-by-step, reciprocating, and increasingly severe pattern of natural climate change. His philosophy is perfectly captured by his own quote: "Small changes happen gradually, big changes happen instantly." He argues that the 8 years between his 2009 prediction and his 2017 article completely validated this theory. We don't get a sudden doomsday out of nowhere, we get a gradual, compounding degradation of our environment that builds up quietly until the breaking point is reached in an instant. And that brings us to the absolute core of the source material. Zhu Feng, the founder of Life Chen Yuan, issues an incredibly stark ultimatum here. He says, if humanity does not immediately pull back from the brink, in 15 to 20 years, the entire natural ecology will collapse and humanity will be in jeopardy. Now, based on the publication date of 2017, a 15 to 20-year window places this projected catastrophic ecological collapse right in the early to mid-2030s. He is definitely not mincing words here. He's arguing that we are literally on the brink of an abyss and that our current modes of production and living are directly driving us over that edge, all on a very specific, unforgiving, ticking clock. But the text actually pivots here from doom and gloom to some very specific solutions. According to Zhu Feng, there is a way to resolve this fatal contradiction between natural resources and human consumption. The first step, fully acknowledging that our traditional production and lifestyle modes have fundamentally failed us. Secondly, and this is where he brings in his organization's direct role, he claims that over the 8 years prior to 2017, Life Chuanyuan actively dedicated itself to exploring and experimenting with entirely new production and lifestyle modes. He asserts that they've already found the successful pathway out of this mess. Therefore, his third and final directive is a call to immediate action. Humanity urgently needs to adopt the specific models created by Life Chuanyuan, and he warns that if we delay any longer, it will simply be too late. So, all of this leaves us grappling with one ultimate question. Will humanity adapt its lifestyle before this ecological clock runs out? We've walked through the stark WWF data, that alarming 7-month resource exhaustion, the philosophical concept of stealing from future generations, and Life Chuanyuan's specific 15 to 20-year countdown to collapse. We've also looked at Xuefeng's claim that alternative, sustainable modes of living have already been tested and are just waiting to be adopted. So looking at your own consumption, your own lifestyle, and the global trajectory we're all on right now, do you believe a massive worldwide shift in how we produce and live is truly possible in the narrow timeframe Xuefeng presents? It's a profound question about human nature and our ultimate survival, and it's one that for sure warrants some deep reflection long after this explainer ends. Thanks so much for joining me today to unpack this fascinating source material. Catch you next time.